Hi, thank you for coming. My name is Monica Byrne, and I'm a senior consultant here at SWK Technologies. I want to show you today what's new in Sage 100 version 2021. As in all Sage releases, there are some new features available. The Sage 100 version 2021 does not disappoint. We have some global enhancements, AP and AR enhancements. We're going to look at PO, sales order, and inventory. Quite a few paperless office enhancements and a few other items. After this session, we're going to have a live Q&A session where you can ask any questions that you might have about what you see today. As always, for further information on any of the features we're covering, please feel free to reach out to your SWK Sage 100 consultant. And with that, let's get started. Let's talk about some of the global enhancements. A company type dropdown has been added in Library Master Main, Company Maintenance. This dropdown has 4 options: Live, Archive, Demo, and Test. This allows users and your Sage 100 consultant to clearly see the purpose of each company. To enhance the functionality, there is an option in System Configuration to display the company type in the window title bar throughout Sage 100. You can see this on the bottom right of the screen. So you see the option there, and I have Demo Companies checked. Because the demo companies are set to display in the title bar, you see at the bottom right-hand side, my snip of customer maintenance shows ABC flash demo next to the customer maintenance title, based on that selection of the checkbox in System Configuration. There is also a new security menu in Library Master. The role and user maintenance tasks have been moved to it from the main folder. Additionally, a role, user inquiry, import roles, export roles, and administrative tools tasks have been added. The role user inquiry, import roles, and export roles are available to Sage 100C subscription customers only. We'll talk about the role user inquiry later. Importing roles and exporting roles, as you can imagine, allows you to export them for use at another time in another system, etc., and import them obviously to import any that have been exported. For those customers who have wanted to prevent users from accidentally copying over a company using the copy feature in Library Master Main, Company Maintenance, there's a new feature, a new security setting for this, and you'll see that on the right-hand side. This will allow or disallow overwriting live or archive companies based on the company type setting that we discussed on the last slide. It's located in Role Maintenance on the Security Options tab under Library Master. With this feature unchecked, users could copy to a test company or a demo company, but could not copy over your live data or any archive data that you would like to remain the same. We have had some clients over the years who have copied from a test company to their live company inadvertently, and of course that causes a lot of problems, so hopefully this will prevent that from happening. A role type has been added to Role Maintenance to make evaluating and using roles easier. During an upgrade, a type of conversion will be assigned until a type of conversion, like actual word conversion, will be assigned until a type can be selected. On the right-hand side of Role Maintenance, a filter button has been added to further refine results when trying to find a specific security setting. So you know that we have the binoculars there in the middle that we can search with. And then the filter button opens the screenshot you see in the middle where you can filter even further to help you try to find a security setting. Next, please note the Security Events and Module Options tabs have been combined into one tab called Security Options. So you'll see that in the middle, or on the left-hand side actually, screenshot. You'll see there's a Task tab and then Security Options, and that's the combined tab. That feature is really nice because even myself, knowing all of these role features, would have a hard time remembering if it was on Security, Events, or Module Options, and now we only have one tab in that realm to worry about. Sage also has another cool feature in version 2021. On the right-hand side, you'll see that I have a report screen up, but this report is to report on role templates. So role templates have been added into version 2021 to make setting up security easier. To review these, you can run the role report that I have a screenshot of right there from the Library Master Security menu and choose the Role Template Details in the center there as the type of report to print. Sage has set up roles such as an admin role, an AP clerk, an AR clerk, etc. And those are available for use when creating roles now, so that you can easily configure a role or pretty quickly configure a role. Or if you're setting up a new company and need to do roles, you can very easily do that. This report actually shows you what those defaults include, so what security settings those defaults include. One more item I forgot to mention, but on the left-hand screenshot, you'll see below the Security Options tab, there's a Sort By option. So if I were clicked on the Tasks tab, there's a Sort By option to do it alphabetically or original order. So if I choose alphabetically on the Task tab, it will actually sort the next tabs alphabetically as well, and then you'll have additional sorting options on those tabs. So like on the Security Options tab, you can then sort by module, group, or security option. Here's a couple additional role maintenance changes. You'll see up on the top hand right of role maintenance, there's some buttons. An apply button has been added there so that when you change roles, when you change something in a role, you can apply those same changes to other roles. So for example, if you wanted to make sure no users had access to AP options, you would uncheck it on one role and click apply to apply that same change to all other roles. One other use for this I thought of when I was preparing this presentation was to make sure users can receive broadcast messages. A lot of times we want to make sure all users can receive messages in the system. So that would be a setting that you may want available across all roles, and you could use this feature for. Finally, there are assign and remove buttons available in role maintenance now. This allows you to easily assign a role to a user or remove a role from a user with the click of a button. And you'll see that screen on the right-hand side. The remove users to role actually looks about the same as this, but you can just move the users between the right-hand side, which is assigned to the role, from the available users list on the left-hand side. And like I said, the remove works the same way. Default form maintenance is another new feature. This task has been added to the Library Master setup menu. This allows you to maintain by company, role, or even user the form code to use when printing various forms, such as AP checks or sales order invoices in the system. Additionally, when copying a company and company maintenance, you now have the option to copy form and report settings. So previously, when you copied, let's say, your live company to a test company to do some testing, you weren't able to copy over those reports and form settings, and we would have to reestablish those manually. So now those are available to copy over so that you have the same items there. Oops, sorry, my slide forwarded wrong. And that's what you see on the right-hand side screen there. Couple other global items that I should mention. You can select a company type when running the build search index now. So this build search index is what populates the searching of customer names, vendor names, item descriptions, and general ledger account names. So now we can determine if we want to run this build search index for all company types or certain company types, such as the live companies. This saves time by only running the utility for those company types needed. And that's based on that company type that we now can set in company maintenance. Additionally, on the right-hand side, options for authentication methods have been added to the email configuration and company maintenance. The choices are basic or OAuth. Sage 100 can now be installed in a 64-bit version. It's important to note that if there are other 32-bit versions of Sage 100 installed, installing the 64-bit version will make those no longer operable. So if you're in a testing environment where you're still live in 2020 and you're testing in 2021, you would want to install, or your consultant would install, the 32-bit version for the time being so that your old version didn't become inoperable. As a result, Sage has also provided a utility to convert from a 32-bit to a 64-bit at a later time if desired. So in the scenario I mentioned, once you went live on the new version and no longer needed the old, you could certainly switch to the 64-bit if it was desired. Let's talk about what's changed in accounts payable. Couple things. Form 1099 NEC is now accommodated in the embedded 1099 reporting by choosing a default form, non-employee compensation, and vendor maintenance on the additional tab. This was available in, let's say, 2020 version at the beginning of this year and a few other older versions, but we had to apply an update for that, and now it's part of the ongoing program. Also, on the right-hand side, if you've ever had the experience of an invoice showing paid when trying to select it for payment, a utility to handle that has been added to the Sage 100 utilities in the Run program window. And how you get to this screenshot on the right-hand side is by choosing File, Run, and then type in the box star UTL to access this menu. So we do have a couple of things that are common to accounts receivable and sales order. So I put them on the same slide. When creating a credit memo in AR or sales order, you have the option to recall the item cost from history or use the current cost. When entering a customer and invoice combination, you'll be prompted to copy information from invoice history. That's the prompt you see on the left-hand side. If you select yes, you'll be prompted to recall the item cost from history, whether you want to recall it from history or not. And you'll notice there's some information in that prompt on the right-hand side as to what happens. Please note there's a details button there. And if you choose details, you can see both costs. It will open a screen and you'll see both the historical cost and the current cost so that you can make an informed decision here. Finally, there's another small change in sales order. Daily sales reports and updates, you can now suppress the prompts that ask you to print various reports. So when you're running daily sales reports and updates, there's a bunch of reports that run along with it that are listed here on that sales order options tab in the printing area. Typically, you would be prompted for each report. Do you want to print the recap by product line? Do you want to print the recap by warehouse? Do you want to print the recap by customer? And you would have to say yes to each of those. If you select this setting that I've circled in red here that says automatically print all additional reports that apply, when you check that checkbox, you will no longer get those prompts to print each report. They will just print automatically, successively, of course, each report one after another without you being prompted. Save a little time, I think, if you're printing all of the reports. All right, there is an enhancement in inventory. This one, I think, is a nice one, and users are really going to enjoy this. So when you're in item maintenance and you're on the transactions tab, you can now select a default date range for the transaction. So you'll see I have it circled in the first screen, the range I'm looking at. This feature is available for Sage 100C subscription users only. And the setup for this is in inventory options on the additional tab in my second screenshot here. The available choices are current calendar year, current period, last 7 days, last 30 days, last 60 days, last 90 days, last 120 days, or last 365 days. So you choose that as a company. So this is not user specific, but company specific. And then that's what will automatically filter in this transactions tab. We do have a lot of clients who have tons of inventory transactions, of course, for items, and searching through them can be a daunting task. So usually they'll click the binoculars to filter in, to zoom into some transactions in a date range, and this will automatically do that on a regular basis. You can override that setting using the binoculars if you need to see more once you get in there. So this would just be your default, what you want it to default to when you open up inventory maintenance. In purchase order, we have a couple of changes. The purchases clearing from history report has been added to the purchase order period and processing menu. You'll see that in the top right screenshot that I circled. You can use this after running period and processing to reconcile the purchases clearing account. This will use the historical information and simplify the reconciliation process. Additionally, now I'm looking at the left-hand screenshot on the left-hand side. When viewing a receipt of invoice record and receipt history inquiry, the invoice lines now appear on the Lines tab. The line details are also available on the receipt history report now. And on the right-hand side, A receipt history inquiry and invoice history inquiry button have been added to the Totals tab of purchase order entry for quick access to further information about receipts. We have quite a few changes in Paperless Office, so let's review those. A Paperless Office default delivery options item has been added to the setup menu. With this, you can define what email addresses to send to for each document, rather than by assigning it at each individual vendor or customer level. So this could save some time if you set up all your vendors and customers in the same manner. So once you have these defaults set, when you go into a customer or vendor Paperless Office options, it will default to these, but you could change that if an individual vendor or customer needed something different. A customer electronic delivery inquiry and vendor electronic delivery inquiry task has been added to the Paperless Office main menu. Use these tasks to view a list of documents that have been sent to the customers and vendors. This feature is available for Sage 100C subscription customers only. Notice that you can sort this by a status of successful or unsuccessful. That's in the top right-hand side. So when you search for your documents, this will allow you to see if they transmitted successfully or unsuccessfully, or if you have any issues going on. In the vendor viewer, additionally, the vendor viewer and customer viewer, forms are no longer flagged as updated when they are printed as PDFs but not electronically delivered due to an interruption. So when you're looking in that vendor viewer and looking at purchase orders that have been sent to your vendor, or the customer viewer looking at invoices that have been sent to the customer, typically once you updated them, it would show as updated. But if it did not electronically deliver properly, it will not show that way any longer. To help you, both of these features kind of help you identify if you have any problem if something didn't send to a vendor or customer. When sending forms to customers, you can now also send them to all salespeople who are receiving a commission on the sale. To enable this feature, select the Email Additional Salesperson checkbox that has been added to the Paperless Office Delivery Options window, and you access that through Salesperson Maintenance. So on the left-hand side, you'll see I have Salesperson Maintenance open. I clicked on the Paperless button, which brought me to the right-hand screenshot, and I can click Email Additional Salesperson. And this will email any related salespeople that are set up to receive a split commission on this transaction or any transaction. You can enable the feature for statements, sales orders, or sales order invoices. We do have a new enhancement in Visual Integrator, so let's go over that. In Visual Integrator, a new Visual Integrator options screen has been added. You can now manage if logs from your Visual Integrator routines are reused or a new log file created each time. So if you wanted to save a new log file each time, this can be set for import jobs, export jobs, and jobs that you have set to auto run in Visual Integrator. Additionally, you can also specify where the log file should be saved, or where you'd like the log file should be saved, where you would like the log files to be saved. So that could be helpful if you are having trouble with a Visual Integrator routine and you want to see the log each time to try to identify problems. There's lots of times where I've wished I had a log from a previous time and it's been overwritten by the new one, as that's how it currently works prior to version 2021. So I think this could be helpful if you do a lot of Visual Integrator importing or exporting. Thank you for taking your time today to listen to my presentation on what's new in Sage 100 version 2021. I believe we're going to open this up for live questions. And like I mentioned earlier, any further questions beyond today's webinar, please feel free to reach out to your SWK Sage 100 consultant. Thanks again and have a great day.